Hello? You play to win the game.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
We're taking receipts, and I can't wait to shove it down everyone's throat when it comes around.
No question about it. I am ready to get hurt again.
Welcome everyone to episode number 13 of the Battered Jets Fan. I am Mr. Granada. I got here Gunny with me. That is not the bearded fanatic. He did not cut his beard. He did not go black. It is just a completely different person. Manny is on vacation this week and having a good time. I think right now he's in Mexico, so he's not missing us at all.
Cozumel. Saw him flashing those cool pictures on Twitter, man, making us all jealous.
He's having a good time. So he's not here, but I got Gunny here to help, take his place. Big shoes to fill, but I know you can do it.
I'll do what I can, man. I'm gonna try.
So how was your Thanksgiving break before we get started?
It was good, brother. It was good. You know what I'm saying? I had some bomb turkey that I made. I probably make the best turkey, you know what I'm saying, anybody's ever had in their lives.
Yeah, we were having this talk before we got started. I refuse to believe that any turkey is considered bomb turkey because there is no such thing as a good turkey.
Well, now you've given me, I'm going to have to go ahead and find a way to go ahead and invite you and the family over to dinner or something. Or I'm going to come your way and make it for you because I think I can change your mind.
I'm not gonna lie. You're gonna have to tell me that there's something else that's being served. Because if you tell me it's turkey, I promise you, I will not make our way to Tuesday. It's not happening.
Got you. I gotta lie to you. Okay, cool.
All right.
But now, overall, I had to go, man. How about you? How was your Thanksgiving?
It's the same thing. Usual family, turkey is the low point of the Thanksgiving. But other than that, it's good. Is Black Friday still a thing?
I think so. But I just shop online now, bro. Like everything.
I think everybody does that.
Yeah, I'm not going to the store and getting trampled and shit over something. I just shop online, and I still get the same great deals. And then Cyber Monday, I think, is like my favorite day because you get to buy a lot of cool tech.
Don't fall for that Cyber Monday stuff. Cyber Monday turns into, hey, we extended it to Cyber Tuesday. All of a sudden, we extended it 5 days to Cyber Friday. Like, there's no rush. I promise.
All of a sudden, you got till Christmas. Yeah, it's that holiday time frame, man. Sales going to be going everywhere. Yeah, I did buy a couple of things. I'm trying to get a couple of the Christmas stuff taken care of because my kids are bougie as hell. So
yeah, I was hoping that the Jets would drop the price on those helmets so I could couple of those, but no luck.
They have not.
No luck on those. And I don't know if you noticed, but those Sauce Gardner jerseys are
non-existent. Non-existent, bro. I can't find them anywhere. Nope.
No. And I wanted it in black. Them things are nowhere to be found.
Yeah. But Garrett Wilson ones are hard to find too, the black ones.
You know what jersey's hard to find also?
What?
Mike White.
Really? Already?
I don't think they made him.
Oh, there it is. That makes more sense. I'm like, bro, he just had a good game. That means they didn't.
I don't even think I'm gonna look it up at some point while we're recording. I have to look it up to see if they even sell them. But yeah. So obviously, topic of the week: Mike effing White.
Mike effing White.
Now, when you heard that he was gonna start, like, were you? Because I know you're like Zach Wilson lover. Like, I know that's the funny thing. So how were you feeling? Because I didn't think that he should start. I thought they should have given Zach the Bears game.
I really thought Zach Wilson was going to be the one that came out there, and it was going to be the perfect get-right game, right? Because the Chicago Bears wasn't a team that I think anybody was afraid of or worried about. And if anything, we needed to kind of build this kid's confidence back up. I think this was the game to do that as we go into a stretch facing the Minnesota Vikings, then the Buffalo Bills again. I thought it was going to be a great get-right game for Zach. But when I heard Coach Sal talking about benching him, my first thought process was, all right, well, here comes Joe. Joe finally gets to come out here, the veteran experience presence, you know what I'm saying? Like he got us a win against Cleveland, still leading the league in passing touchdowns. So here he comes, start patting some more stats. And when we heard it was Mike White, man, I was conflicted. I won't lie to you. I was very conflicted about Mike White being the guy that was selected to start this past Sunday.
I was more or less on the same track as you. Last week when we had this talk, because we had our episode the day before Salah made his decision, and I said they should let Zach Wilson start for the simple fact that whoever starts on Sunday is going to look good. That's what I really thought, that whether it was Zach, whether it was Flacco, or whether it was Matt, even Strebler, everybody would have looked good against the Bears defense. So that's why I figured, like, let Zach Wilson start, and if he plays poorly against the bad Bears defense, then you pull him, because obviously he's not the answer. But you give him that chance. Now, I understand that it was probably more to do with the locker room than on the field, because I'm assuming that's why he got pulled. Because
Same here.
Otherwise, I think if it wasn't for those comments after the game, I think Zach Wilson is still sorry. That's what I think also. I think
100%.
he's still playing.
I said the same thing. A lot of people don't. A lot of people, I think, were just thinking like, oh yeah, he played so badly, that's why he got benched. But I don't think that's the case at all. I think that yes, he played poorly. His comments after the game were just ridiculous. To not have any kind of accountability for playing that horrendous, when your defense held the Patriots to 3 freaking points, that's borderline a shutout. And to me, that was just disrespectful to the defense and not being the quarterback, the leader of the team. But I think what did him in was that comment, and not the horrendous play that he had against the Patriots, but the fact that after the game you took zero accountability, and I think that started to cause a rift in the locker room. Yep. And right now, the way the team is playing as a whole, the team is playing well, even though Zach has not. I think that's just you can't allow that rift to potentially derail this current season that we're on, because I mean, hell, that's 6-4. As mad as we were, the majority of Jets fans were like, you know what, we're 6-4. Like at the end of the day, we didn't expect this. We weren't expecting this kind of. We're 6-4, and I think the coaching staff realized it too, that this rebuild kind of went a little bit faster than anticipated, and they just couldn't allow Zach to go ahead and derail it.
I think that was the most disappointing part about this past week, though. The fact that we were 6-4. Yeah, we were just coming off of a bad loss. We were still 6-4. We were still just about in the playoffs. We were the 8th seed. And the fact that the fans were so negative, it was kind of frustrating to see how the fans had, like, we rarely have good things. So let's enjoy it while we have it.
Yes.
And it turned into a disaster, really. But we're 7-4 now. And I was curious, do you think that Mike White is that good? Oh, before I get into that, I was looking up the jerseys.
Yeah.
You know, the only way you can get a Mike White jersey is if you get the
custom.
The custom.
Yep.
But only for youth size, because if you get the adult size, all the sizes are sold out also. So I'm assuming that everybody's been going and customizing either the Sauce Gardner or their Mike White jerseys.
Yeah.
So there's no more custom jerseys available either. So good luck to you if your kids are asking for that for Christmas, because it's going to be hard to get. So do you think Mike White is that good, or are the Bears just that bad? Because just like you, I thought whoever was going to play well. Now, do you think it's Mike White? Like, is he the answer for us this season?
I think it's a combination of things, right? So again, I did believe whoever played was going to play good enough for us to win the game, and that was because I just don't respect the Chicago Bears team in general. Right. I did not expect any quarterback to go ahead and throw for 300 plus yards and 3 touchdowns and, for 78% completion. I didn't expect that at all, because we haven't seen that, consistently in our starting quarterback. So I did believe whoever went out there was going to be able to get, 200 something yards, a couple of touchdowns. We win the game just because our team is better than the Bears. But I do believe Mike White showed exactly how effective and powerful this offense can be when somebody can properly see plays unfold. They can see the entire field. They're comfortable in the system, and they play within what the defense gives them. I don't think he tried to be a hero in any capacity. I think he took what the defense gave him. When they attacked the short to intermediate game, he took a couple of deep shots to make them respect the offense. And look, at 22 for 28, you know what I'm saying? 315 yards, 3 touchdowns. You can't sit there and say Zach Wilson could have done that. If you can sit there and say Zach Wilson could have done the same thing, that's not true. I don't believe Zach Wilson would have had a game like this against the Chicago Bears.
I'm glad you said that, because that's what I was about to follow up with. I was going to follow up with Mike White had a good game. We also thought Zach Wilson or Joe Flacco would have good games also. But I don't think Flacco or Wilson would have had the game that Mike White had. Mike White,
agreed.
he goes through his progressions, and he doesn't have. If he has an open guy, it doesn't matter if it's a 2-yard gain. He's going for the easy pass. That's why it was 22 for 28. There was a couple dump offs to CJ Uzama on a dump off, basically, because
4 first downs,
or 2 or 3 yards. But if you think about it, that's like a positive run play. You get 3 yards, take it. Yeah. So I was really happy. And do you think this game from Mike White was more impressive, or the one against the Bengals last year? Because I know the Bengals stats were, I guess, better, 400 yards and 3 touchdowns and whatnot. But I'm more impressed with what he did this week.
I am too, because I think in this game you saw one, he hit, I think it was 10 different receivers in the game. 10 different individuals got to touch the ball. You saw him go through his progressions, and he hit the short, intermediate to long game across the board. Against the Bengals, a lot of it was short stuff to intermediate stuff, a lot of yak yards. Right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like dump off.
Michael Carter had like 10 receptions that game.
Yeah, bro. Like they ate, man. But this game, he hit short, intermediate, long. And they were beautifully thrown balls. There was one play in particular, the Elijah Moore pass at the first long gainer that he got for like 30, 40-something yards. The beautiful timing on that, the precision, the touch to get the ball just where it had to be for Elijah Moore, who cuts back in to kind of create some separation from his man. Pinpoint accuracy. Oh, and by the way, he was doing this in pouring down rain. Yes. Like people aren't giving enough credit to that. Like that weather was conducive to a running game. But Mike White literally 22 for 28. And again, short, intermediate, long. He was hitting it all over the freaking field. And he did that in the pouring rain, man. Like, I think this game was significantly better than what we saw from Mike White in terms of his Hall of Fame game last year against Cincinnati.
I love the outcome of the game. I love the way Mike White played. But I was a little frustrated with the fact that we weren't running the ball in these conditions. Like when you saw the pouring rain, I was expecting heavy run. Like Michael Carter obviously got hurt, but a heavy dose of Michael Carter. James Robinson didn't play. We got Bam Knight. We got Ty Johnson. Like I thought we were gonna get a heavy run load, but we passed it quite a bit. Like, were you surprised with how often we passed it? Because I wasn't expecting that, and I know that it ended up working out, but I feel like I want to lean on the run game a little more.
100%. I think that, we brought in Robinson to potentially assist Carter with being that 1-2 punch, right? And I'm not sure why he was a healthy scratch. He wasn't on the injury report, so I was kind of surprised he didn't play. Michael Carter getting hurt definitely sucks, and apparently that low ankle sprain might be worse than we all thought. But I was very surprised, like they didn't lean on the run game more with Bam being activated and then Johnson being activated. You saw towards the back end, they started to do so, and it was almost at will. Those guys could do what they wanted in the running game. So it leads me to believe like one of two reasons, right? Either one, they really wanted to go ahead and test out Mike White, see what he can do so they can prepare for next week or the following week. Or two, they knew what they had in Mike White, and they wanted to kind of showcase and show it off for all of us to see. So then there's no question mark throughout this coming week of, it's going to be Zach Wilson, it's going to be Mike White, because they rushed for freaking 200 something yards, and Mike White had like 100. He didn't. I don't think they wanted it to be left in the I guess you say the media, the fan base, whatever, so they can focus on this game.
Right.
I think it was more of a show. I think it was a show of maybe it's LaFleur getting pissed off that he's also getting blamed for how bad Zach Wilson has been. He wanted to kind of show what this offense could look like when the playbook is fully open. But yeah, the conditions were conducive to a running game. The Bears defense has been getting diced and sliced through the running game. Like it made all the sense in the world to attack this team on the ground. And we decided to do so in the air. And of course the results were great, but I think there was something trying to be proven by going that route.
The three running backs averaged 6 yards per combined, 6 yards per carry. Like they were eating up when they were given them the chance.
Yeah.
And I was like you. I was surprised that Bam Knight got the call. I remember when Breece Hall went down, everybody was saying, "Oh, Kareem Hunt, let's get James Robinson." Mm-hmm. And I was surprised because I thought Michael Carter carries the load. I honestly thought that. Yeah. I remember before Bam Knight didn't make the active roster, everybody was dying for Bam Knight to make the roster. Yeah. And I mean, I know everybody hates on Ty Johnson, but we have Ty Johnson, which is serviceable, I guess. So I was really surprised that everybody wanted a running back that badly. I mean, I was happy when we got James Robinson, but I didn't think that we were going to be that aggressive. Where like the very next day we went out and got him.
Yeah.
Do you think is he done? I mean, I guess now with James Robinson, like, why is he a healthy scratch?
That's what confuses me. Because when they brought in James Robinson,
I haven't heard anything about it.
Neither have I. Haven't heard anything. I haven't seen, again, not on the injury report, nothing. He was literally a healthy scratch. So there's I don't know what's going on with it, with him. But we were all excited about it. And I think the reason they brought in Robinson was purely because they wanted that 1-2 punch. James Robinson at the time also has one of the highest pass blocking grades in the NFL, also the highest efficiency rating in the red zone. So I could see why they brought him in to be that bell cow guy when we get into the red zone. but you cannot replace a Brees Hall, man. Brees Hall is just different, man. He's on a different stratosphere.
Yeah.
So I think they were trying to go ahead and do that 1-2 punch aspect. But yeah, I'm with you. Bam Knight being on the team to me was something that I thought, okay, well, he's going to get elevated. But before I thought they were going to go out to outsource it, I thought he was going to get brought up from the practice squad. And he didn't. They went after Robinson, and I didn't think they activated freaking, Bam just this past week. So they went a few weeks, you know what I'm saying, with Robinson before they activated Bam.
Well,
so
the thing with Robinson is everybody was saying, oh, he's such a patient runner. But I was listening to Brian Costello talk. He was reporting on a show, and he said that some of the Jets coaching staff, I don't know if it's frustrating with how patient he is, but they want him to just get vertical. Yeah. Right? He goes lateral, trying to find the holes. And Bam Knight is one cut and up. Like
he's gone.
It's just he's gone. So I think that supposedly they're getting frustrated with James Robinson's running style. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. If Michael Carter's out, obviously I'm glad that we have James Robinson to come back in and fill that void. But like you said, it's almost like worrisome that you trade for somebody and then 3 weeks later they're a healthy scratch. It leaves you scratching your head.
I mean, then you start to wonder: are they trying to avoid having that sixth turn into a fifth? Is that what they're doing? They're trying to just let's keep him on ice until, which to me, like it's a fifth round pick, right? We've seen what Joe Douglas can do with late round picks, but come on, guys, James Robinson could potentially be on this roster next year if he performs. And I thought he had a couple of good games. I haven't heard that part about the patient running. I do know it's been frustrating because those holes do close up fast with a limited offensive line. It makes sense. It makes sense if he's not hitting those holes like fast enough for the little bit of time they are open in this particular scheme. Bam, definitely, like you said, man, one cut and gone, man. That guy hits the hole hard. That makes a lot of sense, bro, because otherwise I don't know what to say as to why, he's a healthy scratch. Because again, when I realized he wasn't playing, I looked in the injury report, he wasn't on it. And I'm like, damn, did he get inactive? Like
I thought he was hurt.
He wasn't on the injury report. If he was, it didn't say it on the injury report.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't hurt.
No. So,
do you think benching Zach was the right move, though?
Yes, 100% yes. So, in hindsight, I think after again you calm down and you start seeing the especially when you go back and you watch the All 22, man, Zach Wilson's mechanics have just gone to straight just crap, bro. Like he forgot the most basic of basic aspects of throwing a football. Missing, Braxton Berrios about 10 feet above his head. He did the same thing with Denzel on screen passes wide open. Like those aren't like physical inabilities. Those are mental.
He's been doing that since last year.
Facts. But those were blatant, bro. Like those weren't like, and they were in important times of the game where we needed to get something going against the Patriots. And I think once that happened, I know the Chicago Bears would have been a great get-right game for him. I think Coach Sala deciding he's going to pull this quarterback because, like he said, he needs a reset. And the last thing he wanted to do was have him preparing for NFL live games when he himself is not right. He needs a reset. And then you watch at All 22 and you're like, damn, man, he was bad. Like he was really bad. The lack of confidence to throw the ball. Like I think it was one play, Denzel Mims wide open in an in route. Into the end zone. He could have thrown it anywhere in the end zone. Denzel Mims had plenty of space to go get it. He's looking right at Denzel Mims, bro, and never pulls the trigger. Winds up being a sack. And it showed he's not confident in his arm, not confident in in everything he's been taught, what he's seeing. Yeah, that's a hard reset because if he was to come back right now against the Bears and played good against that team and he could get away with it just because he's got extreme arm talent, is he going to get away against that next week against Minnesota? The final against Buffalo, and you got to think about
maybe not Buffalo, but that's another reason I wanted Zach to continue because I felt like you said this was a get right game for Zach, and Zach, his fundamentals are shot. Nobody can argue that with those open, but he's also played against top pass defenses since he got back from his injury. It's like it's just a crazy coincidence that he's been playing against the best pass defenses in the league, and then he finally ends up with 2 games in a row against really poor pass defenses, and this is when Mike White gets to start. Like Mike White's going to shine this weekend, I think, also because the Vikings have the 31st ranked pass defense.
Yeah,
like
only Detroit is worse. Only Detroit is worse,
and we got Detroit in like 2 weeks after
week
that.
after next. Yeah.
So Mike White has like landed in the perfect position to shine, and I feel like nobody's taking that into account. Would Mike White look this good against the Broncos? Maybe not. Against the Packers? Maybe not.
Maybe not.
So and again, I don't think that Zach Wilson would have played as well as Mike White did, but I don't think Mike White would have looked as good against some of these defenses either. So it's like you got to give and take here.
So for me, I think it's this, right? I think that right now, based off of where the current Jets are standing, it's a teaching, it's a humbling lesson for Zach, and it needs to get him back to his roots. Now, I will say this: you look at Mike White play the quarterback position in this offense, and you look at Zach Wilson, and it's two different players in the same scheme. Mike White seems more calm, more collected, understands how to maneuver the pocket. He'll step up, you know what I'm saying, step to the left. Zach Wilson, he's spinning around, he's running around, trying to create stuff. And I think that goes to show, like, look, Zach, look at Mike. He's not as mobile as you are, and yet he has enough time to get rid of the ball by moving up into the pocket. And I think it's the thing where you saw Zach Wilson last year watching from the sidelines when he was injured, because in the beginning he looked erratic, lost, confused, like the game was too much for him, came back, it slowed down. You saw a very efficient Zach Wilson towards the back end. And I don't know, maybe he's that guy that just needs to be reminded every now and again, like, bruh, you're freaking out there when you don't have to. And the same exact
Zach
scheme,
Wilson creates his own pressure.
He does. Yeah, he's literally has spun out into pressure like numerous times this season, run into pressure. And I think that goes a long way for if Mike White starts to struggle at any point, I think they're going to use that opportunity to give Zach another shot. I do. I don't think they're going to hesitate. If Mike White struggles against Buffalo, I think he's going to have a good game against Minnesota. I think Buffalo next week's going to be more of a challenge because everybody's healthy on that defense. That's going to be a problem.
It's in Buffalo. They want some payback for sure.
Yep. They're stalled there. So I think that game, Mike White plays bad. I think you see Zach come back against the Detroit Lions, which, again, a good get-right game for him because that defense is trash. But if it allows him to kind of refocus, reset, and realize, okay, I do have enough time to scan the field. If Mike can do it, and I have more mobility, better arm strength than he can, I can hit the, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that should reset him seeing somebody else with the same people, same weapons, same system operating. Hopefully it helps him kind of like reset and refocus and trust what he sees when he gets back out there.
All right, hear me out here.
All right.
I understand that Zach Wilson is the second overall pick. I understand that Zach Wilson has the higher ceiling. Mm-hmm. Does any part of you, because this is what's been happening to me, and it's irrational, I know, but does any part of you kind of see what's happening with Mike White, and then you have visions of Nick Foles, Kurt Warner, like, you know, those just random, and it's like I wanted that last year. I wanted it to be what was happening. I was like, maybe it's our turn. Because, like, even with, like, people that aren't necessarily end up making it in the Super Bowl or the championship, but, like, Mark Bolger came out of absolutely nowhere, ended up being the starting quarterback for the Rams for a bunch of years. Like, that happens to so many teams, but never us. And a little part of me is like, maybe, why not us? Maybe we get our Jeff Hostetler. Like, who knows?
That's the thing, though, brother. I've literally said this, right? I've actually posted this on Twitter. I posted, is he our Nick Foles, our Kurt Warner? Like, because it's like it's lined up for that kind of a story, right? Like you have the franchise guy that's not playing well, or he gets injured and he needs to take a step back, but the defense is elite. You've got weapons on the offense. The running game is good. And then you just need a quarterback to kind of just get in there and then put it all together. Zach Wilson has been erratic, to say the least, right? And now you get freaking Mike White, our Kurt Warner, our Nick Foles. He comes through and we ride him all the way to an AFC championship game, go to the Super Bowl. I think Mike White can be that guy, bro. But you're right; it's never happened to the Jets. We've not been blessed enough to have a Kurt Warner or Mark Bolger or a freaking Nick Foles, right? Like, and this would be that time where you're seeing a guy that, again, on Sunday he looked really good, bro. And I know it was the Bears, but he looked really good. He did exactly what you expect a good player to do to a bad team. Nobody else. Maybe and people
Tua,
are taking that.
I
did. Tua did not look that good. Nope, Tua did not look that good. I think Tua was the second closest with like a 98 QBR. He looked good, but not as good as Mike White did. Like, Mike White literally has the highest QBR of the season in a game, off of that game. Like, of the season in a game. So, like, to me, bro, like, and again, they didn't have to go through the air to win that game. They could have ran the game. They could have ran the ball and won that game. So I almost feel like it was.
They ran like the typical West Coast offense, where like the short passing game is basically a running game.
Yes,
because he had a lot of short completions.
He did. But in all actuality, when you have playmakers, that's all you need.
Yes,
and that's what I'm saying. Like Zach Wilson is always looking for the big play. You see it. You see him miss a lot of checkdowns. He doesn't go ahead. He's always look, and then boom, he's sacked, right? Or he runs into a sack, trying to extend the play to look for the big play. But look what happens when you can move the ball. You force the defense to play honest. They got to come up, and then it opens stuff to the intermediate and then the long game. Zach Wilson has to learn to take those short and be accurate doing it. Has to be accurate doing it. He needs to learn to take those.
The difference between this year's Mike White and last year's Mike White. Last year's Mike White came in because Zach Wilson was injured. So when he came in, we still had belief that we had our guy in Zach Wilson. So we saw that Mike White game. We got excited. And then the Colts game came. Again, first drive touchdown, excited, gets injured. That shit sucks. Then the Bills game happens. And then everybody's like, okay, well, that was fun. And we don't know what Mike White is exactly. We don't know if he's Bengals or Buffalo, but we're good to move on back to Zach Wilson.
Yes.
But that's not this year. This year, that's not going to fly because half of the Jets fan base, if not more, are kind of like, okay, I kind of know what Zach Wilson is or what he's not. If Mike White is balling, I don't care how he plays against the Bills. I want to keep seeing him perform. I want to give him a nice sample size because last year we didn't give him that sample size. After that Bills game, what did we do? We ended up bringing Joe Flacco in to start. Zach Wilson wasn't even ready yet.
No.
Mike White didn't get benched for Zach Wilson. He got benched for Joe Flacco against the Dolphins. Right. So I think this year, if Mike White performs even half as well as he did against the Bears, against the Vikings, I don't care how that Bills game goes. As a fan, I wouldn't be happy to see him benched against the Lions.
I want to see Mike White play the rest of the season. Like for better or worse.
Unless he has like 2 or 3 really bad games, I agree with you.
Consecutively. You got to give it to me consecutively. I need to see him just shit the bed 2 games in a row. But otherwise, I'm with you, man. I would like to ride this kid all the way to the freaking playoffs. I want to see what Mike White can do back on the line. He's fighting for a contract. You know what I'm saying? I looked at some of his college scouting tape, right? And some of the stuff they talked about was how he was trash his first couple of years, right? Like real strong arm. He was supposed to be a freaking, I don't know if you know, like a pitcher, like Major League Baseball pitcher wanted him. He had that kind of an arm.
I did not.
Yeah, and then it wasn't until like he redshirted and then his junior year, technically, he comes out career game because he knew he had to perform or he was done. Literally, it was to say that he understood this was his last chance to prove what he's about. Bro, he was the comeback player, all freaking whatever conference he was in. And then the second year, did it again. I think Mike White right now, like you just said, understands right now he's been chosen to be the starting quarterback. Not because out of necessity, not because the starter got hurt. No, but we think you give us the better chance to win games now. And I think that's a different level of confidence you portray on somebody that doesn't have to think in the back of his head like, oh, man, I mean, hell, moment he's better, I'm coming off the field anyway. He knows now if I keep playing well, this could be my team.
Right.
This could be my team.
Do you think that's why Salah kind of didn't want to commit to him? He's like, nah, Zach Wilson will still get in eventually. It's like burning a little fire under Mike White. It's like,
yeah. I mean, you got to, right?
Yeah.
You got to. You got to let him know, like, hey, man, it's yours until you lose it. It's yours until you lose it. I know they're telling us until Zach's ready, but I do believe wholeheartedly that he knows, Coach Sada knows, Coach LaFleur knows that it's Mike White's position to lose. They're not going to – Zach Wilson's going to be ready to go this week, next week. Doesn't matter. If Mike White is playing well, I do believe Mike White is our quarterback until, like I said before, I think for me, it need to be 2 consecutive games. I don't know if the same sentiment for the coaching staff, but for me, if he has 2 consecutive bad games, that's impacting
But how many
ability.
games did we give Zach Wilson? He played 7. Of those 7, I want to say
5 and 2.
Just about like 5 or 6 of them were fucking horrible. Like,
yeah, 100%.
We never really talked about it because we were winning.
We're winning.
So like it's like, okay, he'll get it eventually. But like if we would have been losing, we would have been killing him.
We would have been killing him. But
because
he
wasn't
bad.
Playing well. Yeah.
No. And the thing is this, like, so I'm one of the biggest Zach supporters. You know this. And I was the one making excuses like, oh, well, he had that great comeback against the Steelers.
Yeah.
Oh, he did a great job not turning the ball over against the Dolphins, right? Like,
Yeah.
And against the Bills, look how well he just didn't lose the game for us, bro. Like it wasn't
don't lose the game.
It wasn't like I was like, oh my God, Zach balled out. He just won us that. No, it was like, man, he didn't lose it for us. Did you see that? Zach,
Yeah.
And when you spend the second overall pick on a quarterback, bro, you shouldn't be
not lose
excited
the
because
game.
he didn't lose you the game.
Right.
But we're so quarterback thirsty as a fan base
We're so battered.
that we're battered, bro. Like, man, that fourth quarter against the Steelers, even though the first 3 quarters he was trash, just trash. That fourth quarter against the Steelers, boy, that boy balled out. He won us that game.
Hey, look, who you talking to? I was like, hey, you know how everybody talks about that 2 against the Ravens fourth quarter? That was ours.
That was our guy.
I was trying to make that comparison. And let me tell you something.
Bruh.
Tua scored 28 in that. What Zach got like 2 touchdowns, maybe?
2 touchdowns, bro. And we were about to freaking, man. We had coined him he's him. He's him.
That's it. He's him.
Mediocre. That's how starved we are as a fan base for a quarterback, bro.
I agree.
And it wasn't until I saw Mike White play on Sunday. Nope. I'm sitting there watching the game on Sunday, and I'm not even like celebrating. I'm just sitting here in awe, like, we could have had this all season, maybe, potentially. Like, could we have this level of play? And that's all I kept asking myself the whole time, because I have not seen the offense look like that all year. And then I go back and I'm sitting there like, man. Oh, God. Go ahead. Shoot.
Maybe you heard this already.
All right.
Yeah, maybe and you know what? And let me preface this by saying I hate that whenever you kind of compliment like Mike White or something, it almost feels like you're trashing Zach Wilson. That's not my intent at all. But it might sound this way. But it might sound this way with this stat.
Okay. All right. Let's hear it.
All right. So Elijah Moore, second season, Garrett Wilson, first season, correct?
Uh-huh.
Combined, they have 10 career touchdowns, receiving touchdowns.
Okay.
How many of those 10 do you think were passes from Zach Wilson?
Okay, so you said there's 10. I know for a fact Elijah got his first one. That's 1. Both of Garrett's this week, so 3 of them are out. First game, it was 2, 3. So I think 6 total are gone. So no, not even 3. 3 of them were thrown by Zach Wilson. No, 4. 4.
1 was thrown by Zach Wilson.
No way.
Out of those 10 touchdowns, only 1 of those touchdown passes come from Zach Wilson. He has no chemistry with Elijah Moore. I think that's obvious.
Well, yeah. That's
Elijah Moore. Once Zach Wilson came back from his injury last season,
Elijah Moore disappeared.
He disappeared. And then when Joe Flacco, I think he was leading the league in pass attempts those first 3 weeks. He threw for like 1 billion yards. Was it against the Ravens or the Browns?
Yeah.
He had all those touchdowns. He threw 2 touchdowns to Garrett Wilson in that Browns game.
Yep. In that
Garrett Wilson has 2 touchdowns this past game. That's 4. So there's only been 1 touchdown. And you know what? I forgot if it was to Elijah Moore or if it was to Garrett Wilson. But it was only 1 out of those 10 combined. That's a crazy stat.
Bro, that's insane. I did not know that stat. That's insane.
Yeah. So Zach Wilson, you know, what's another thing? Zach Wilson's obsessed with Braxton Berrios a little bit.
Too much so. Bro, he is, though.
They're boys. But yeah, come on, man. Go look for
Braxton Berrios is good. And I love Braxton Berrios. I love what he brings to the team. But he is no Elijah Moore. He's no Garrett Wilson. But
Braxton Berrios has been getting the Elijah Moore snaps.
Because I'm assuming that's got to be okay. So then I have to ask you a question. Do you think Coach LaFleur and Coach Saleh have actually catered to Zach Wilson's preference when it comes to running the offense?
Didn't they hire this guy? I forgot what his name was last year, just to be on the sideline next to Zach Wilson, like his personal, personal QB.
I forget his name. But yeah, it was the guy.
He hired somebody just to stand next to him, basically the whole game.
Next to him. No, that's a lot of coddling to me.
It is.
I feel like it's a lot of coddling.
I feel like we don't know his personality as well as we thought we did. I thought he was just cocky and had a swagger. And again, I don't want to shit on him. I don't know. Maybe the teammates do love him. But you remember when they beat the Browns?
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you saw the video clips of the locker room afterward, how everybody was jumping around Joe Flacco.
Oh, yeah.
Mike White just won this past game. In the post-game interview, everybody's jumping on him. And again, maybe it has happened and I just haven't seen it or I don't remember.
We haven't seen it.
But I don't remember the locker room jumping and celebrating Zach Wilson like they have Joe Flacco or Mike White this season.
Because we haven't seen it.
And maybe because we haven't seen it, and maybe it has happened. I'm just saying it seems like maybe not that Zach Wilson is unlikable, but Mike White seems to be so much more likable.
They love Mike, man. They love Mike in that locker room. And I'll tell you this. I think so. Stephen A. Smith, I know we hate his guts. He's not very, very smart when it comes to football.
I like him. When he talks basketball, I like him.
Basketball, I'm down to listen. Football, I'm like, what are you talking? But he did make a pretty good point this past week. So Stephen A. Smith said, and I'm just going to paraphrase. He said, "Did you guys see those players in the locker room?" He goes, usually in a locker room environment, you know what I'm saying, if somebody that you like or respected just lost your job, you're not that exuberant about how much you're happy for the person that replaced them. You don't show it like that. You're not that boisterous about that voice about it. And he's 100% right. Like, even when Tom Brady was winning games, you know what I'm saying, when he took over for freaking Drew Bledsoe, you didn't see a lot of people celebrating with Tom like that. Right, Drew Bledsoe was still loved and admired.
Bill Belichick allows anybody to celebrate. Period.
Well, if you go back and watch some of those games, you see a little bit of celebration, at least on the sidelines. You know what I'm saying, with Drew Bledsoe. But it makes sense though, right? Like, these guys have been very blatantly loud about how happy they are to have Mike White as the quarterback. In fact, Elijah Moore literally stated, "This is what he said. This is what the New York Jets offense is supposed to look like. This is what we practice. This is what we're training for. This is how explosive we can be." And I was like, "Damn,
that was loud. That was loud,
bro. That was loud." And then you know what? And then now I sit back and I look at myself and I'm like, "Damn, when he requested a trade, is it because they've catered the offense or limited the offense, so to speak, to cater to Zach Wilson?" Because he wanted to say stuff, he couldn't say stuff, said, "Just trade me." Like, and it seemed so out of pocket, so out of character. And we crucified Elijah Moore. And I still think that was not the right way to go about it. I still think when you're on a winning streak, there's no way to. I can't get over that. But
I agree.
You got to look at it now. Okay, I'm at that 10,000 feet like view. I can see everything. How loud they were, to include CJ Uzama. That talked about, like, this offense is supposed to operate like this. Like, that seems almost as if they're all saying, like, we've been operating with one hand tied behind our backs, and now you've all kind of seen it. Because, again, I wasn't expecting the Jets to win by that much. I wasn't expecting the offense to look like that. I don't care who the quarterback was. That didn't see in my mind 300 plus yards, 78% completion rating, freaking 3 touchdowns. I did not see that being the case. They beat them so convincingly that I'm like, damn, okay. It looked almost too easy. That was Mike White's first start of the season. It was in pouring rain, and it looked that easy. That's crazy to me. And then Coach Saleh said, "Hey, Mike White makes what's easy look even easier." Like, he said that in his press conference.
Yeah, he takes.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, all right. And it's got me have my head spinning all week trying to figure out, like, okay, is Zach Wilson being pretty much pampered a little bit when it comes to this offense?
It's hard to pick negatives out of this past game because I felt like we dominated.
Yeah.
But there is one negative that I have. But before I tell you mine, I was wondering do you have any negatives coming out of this game?
I will say this. So there was about 2 throws where I think Mike White did get lucky off of, right? One of them.
Oh yeah, I think it was Eddie Jackson should have had one.
The Eddie Jackson should have had an interception, and it just went right between his hands. So it was just like the football god saying, "Not today," and he just missed it because that was literally boom right between his hands, and then it was caught by Garrett Wilson off of the tip drill. And then there was the touchdown for Garrett Wilson where. That was in traffic. Yeah, and that was in traffic. And I think if Eddie Jackson is there, he just lights because Garrett was
got injured on that play.
He did. And that's what I'm saying. If that injury doesn't happen, I think Eddie Jackson lights up Garrett Wilson, and I think that put him in a position to where he could have been exposed potentially for a big hit. Those were the 2 plays I did not like, but you can literally find 2 to 5 plays every quarterback, every game, every quarterback. So in hindsight, it was still a great game, but those were the 2 ones that I was just like, man, you got lucky there, and damn, you almost killed our wide receiver in that one. But Eddie Jackson got hurt. Unfortunately.
This is the negative that I found, and it's nitpicking probably, but this is what I found. Last week, I said if Trevor Siemian starts this game, we shut out the Bears. They don't score on us. and I felt that way, and I still feel like it should have been that way.
That's true.
I felt like the defense came out,
Stagnant.
and it's like they were half a. I don't know if I think they might have taken them for granted, especially when Justin Fields didn't suit up.
I think so.
And they just went down the field and scored quickly on the first 2 drives, 10 points, and that got me a little worried, just because this defense is young, and I don't want them to be feeling themselves just quite yet. That they're like, you know what, we got this. Like, I don't want them. I don't want that. Like, I still want you to be hungry. Anybody that's on the other side of the field, it doesn't matter how bad the record is. Any given Sunday, they can light you up. So
Facts.
Don't allow. And that was the one negative. And again, it was only 10 points. After that, shut them out the complete game. I still think they should have shut them out the entire game. It should have been 0. That's what I thought before the game. And so right now, I still think. But that is the one negative I thought, that I felt like they were playing with their food. Like they maybe didn't take them that seriously. And it was like a wake-up call. Like, oh, shit, they put up 10 points pretty quick. Let's get on our shit. So I think that was the only negative for me.
That's a very good point, actually. I didn't even think of it like that. I was thinking about the offense when you asked the question. But, yeah, the defense, way better than anything they had on offense. Justin Fields is out there. I was expecting them to score 10 to 17 points because Justin Fields has that next gear, bro. Like, I figured we had to respect the run. It was going to allow some mismatches in the secondary. He was going to probably get us for 10 to 17 points. That was my thought process of that game. Mm-hmm. Trevor Siemian, I'm with you. I didn't think he was going to score once. I thought we were going to feast on him, sack city, couple of interceptions. But you're right. Our boys came out stagnant. It's like you said, I think they might have gotten a little bit cocky in the head of themselves. Like, oh, it's just Trevor. We'll be okay.
Yeah.
But the thing I will say this, like the Jets of the past, right, would have completely allowed that to dictate how they would play the rest of the game. Right? Like you would have seen that shit for 4 quarters and you would have been like, man, this is – but – you're right. They fixed it, and then they shut them out in the second half. They didn't score a single point in the second half. And
after that second drive where they got the field goal, they didn't score again.
You're right. After the second drive, and I think that's telling of just how much the adjustments are in the mentality of this team when they realize, like, all right, that's not happening again. These guys aren't that good, and then they knew, and then they played the game. But I'm not gonna lie to you, man. This defense, bro. I think this defense literally allows us to be in any game we play. Any game we play. I'm not scared of any offense the way these guys are playing. And that's something we haven't been able to say since the days of Darrelle Revis. Like that's how intense, impactful, and good this defense has been.
Well, I have this conversation with Manny, the Bearded Fanatic, because he does this show with me, and then we do the Finn show, right? So we do both shows. And I've had this conversation with him the last couple of weeks. I feel like the Dolphins need to win the division in order to have a chance in the playoffs because their defense on the road completely sucks. They're horrible on the road.
They're really bad.
At home, they play better defensively, but on the road, they're horrible. The Jets have a good defense anywhere they go.
Yeah, defense travels. Good defense is travel.
A good defense and a good run game.
Yep.
So I think that we're better suited if we have to go on the road to go ahead and win a road playoff game. Yeah. So I think that we're in a good spot, no matter where we land. If the playoffs started today, we'd be playing the Dolphins in Miami.
And I'm not gonna lie to you, I would like that game. In fact, I actually think I have a theory, bro. I actually think the last game of the season between the Jets and
the
Dolphins for the division. I think it's gonna be for the AFC East division.
I've heard a lot of people saying that. I don't know. I still think the Bills end up getting it.
Man, I don't know, man. Josh Allen, even the game they just won, bro. He was not an asset in that game, right? He had a couple of big throws that kind of like made up for it, but man, he doesn't. I think we broke him. I think the Jets defense broke Josh Allen, bro. Like I seriously, since that game, he has not looked at all like the Josh Allen of the previous games of the season, bro. Like
isn't he tied for the league in turnovers with Matt Ryan?
Turnovers, yeah. I think he leads it unless Matt Ryan caught up last night. It's
I
possible.
don't know. I think I saw it tied.
You could be right. I know he's in the lead. I know that he was in the lead. Maybe they tied it. Maybe it's a tie. But since playing us, bro, we broke that dude, dog. He has not played football the way he was playing before playing us. And it sounds naive of me to say it, but I'm like really excited to play these guys next week.
I'm not.
You're not, bro.
No.
I was not. I was expecting for us to get swept by the Buffalo Bills.
So was I. If we beat the Vikings and Mike White looks really good, I'm probably going to be extremely hyped for that game. But I need to see how this Minnesota game comes out. Like, I need to see Mike White do it again. Even though I think he should because of the Vikings defense,
Right.
I need to see it first. Now, you brought up the old Jets, right? How we're not the old Jets anymore. Now, I did have this one question that it's killing me inside just because I see everybody think so differently from me.
Okay.
Everybody is asking for a primetime game. Let's get flexed into Sunday Night Football. Let's get flexed into Sunday Night Football. They just announced that in 2 weeks, instead of us getting flexed, it's going to be the Dolphins and Chargers. They just got flexed into Sunday Night Football.
Okay.
So the Jets and Bills game is going to stay at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
I don't want primetime.
I don't either.
Why do I want primetime? Let me just go under the radar. Like, why? Like, why? And I think people have forgotten our primetime history.
It's not good.
No, and
it's not good.
I'm going to read it out to you a second. Just because I had to look it up. So I got the last 5 or 6 seasons. So last year, Thursday Night Football against the Colts, we lost 45-30. The year before that, Broncos, Thursday Night Football, lost 37-28. That same season, Monday Night Football, Patriots, 30-27. And then we had 2019, Browns, Monday Night Football, we lost 23-3. 2019, Patriots, Monday Night Football, 33-0. 2019, Thursday Night Football, Ravens, 42-21, another loss. Browns, Thursday Night Football in 2018, 21-17. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The last 7 primetime games we've played, we've lost. Then the game before that was the Lions, which we beat with Sam Darnold's debut.
That's right. I remember that game.
Then the year before that, 2017, we won against the Bills on Thursday Night Football. I believe that was the colorblind game where everybody was criticizing them because they didn't take the blue and red jerseys into account.
Yeah, it was horrible, but
And then in 2016, we went 1-2. We lost to the Colts 41-10. We lost to the Cardinals 28-3, and then we beat the Bills on Thursday Night Football 37-31. So as you can see, we lose a lot on primetime, and when we lose ugly.
Time. Yeah, no, I don't want it.
We lose
I'm
ugly,
with you, bro. I don't want it. I don't want more people to be aware of what this team can do, right? The team that
let's
think
right
that
under the radar.
Yeah, let's just be under the radar. You focus on us when you know you gotta play us in a week. I don't want you sitting back on a Thursday night as a team we gotta play, thinking, "Damn, yo, these boys look good. Hey, coach, we might need to do this." I don't want any of that. I don't want any extra smoke. I don't want any extra focus. Keep doubting us. Keep thinking we're the underdogs. We're the Jets.
I like it.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And just focus on us the week you're supposed to be playing us. And I think that's just going to benefit us, man. Not to mention we have a young roster. We do. And I know the primetime games are coming because there's no way next year we're not going to get a couple.
Oh, no, for sure.
I think the Jets did this year, bro. We're going to get a couple next year. So let our guys now just stay comfortable, stay in their group. We got a lot of kids on this team. I don't need them being in prime time and people are having eyes on them. I don't want them being too big for them.
I will tell you.
Yeah.
I am almost 100% sure. Almost 100% sure that if there's seeding involved, that Jets-Dolphins game at the end of the year gets flexed into Sunday Night Football.
Oh, 100%. No, I think you're right. I think 100% that's going to happen. And I'm telling you, bro.
For the AFC East title, like you said.
I'm telling you, bro.
That's going to be – and it'll be the first Sunday Night Football game in 11 years.
Bro, I'm dead serious. I really believe it's going to be for the AFC East. I think it's going to come down to the Dolphins or the Jets. And the reason why I say that is because I think, again, the way Josh Allen's been playing, you play against a good defense. He's gotten lucky this past game against a crappy defense. I'm sorry, man. I think we can beat them. I think the Dolphins can beat them. I'm in fact, as much as I'm hoping the Patriots beat them on Thursday night, I'm not sure they will beat them. Like I just think a defense right now that's worth a damn is going to give them fits.
Well, let's look at the Bills' schedule. They got the Patriots coming up this week.
Uh-huh.
You think the Bills win or the Patriots?
I think the Bills win that, but it wouldn't shock me if the Patriots win that game.
Then they got us. I want to say we have a chance.
I do think they'll beat us still.
Right. So let's say that at that point they've won 2. Then they have the Dolphins in Buffalo. They're going to come out no, not in Buffalo.
Bro, I'm telling you.
They're going to come out so hyped to beat the Dolphins. They got payback on their mind from that hot game in the beginning of the year where they were dying on the field and they just ran out of time.
I think that's what's going to cause them to catch an L. I think because, like you just said, 100%. You saw after they lost that game, the coach in the freaking the booth smashing. And you saw
And Dorsey,
Josh Allen. Yep,
Mhm.
bro. I think because they want it that bad is why they're going to lose against the Miami Dolphins.
Okay. So you say Dolphins. Okay, that's fine. Then they got the Bears. I don't think Justin Fields plays too much more this year.
Yeah, I think
That's another win.
That's another win.
Then they got the Bengals, which they might lose.
They might lose that one.
And then they got the Patriots at the end of the year.
I think the Patriots are going to take one from them. And whichever one's at Patriots' house, the Patriots are going to win.
So we're looking. So what you're saying, out of the 6 games, we're looking at 4-2, possibly 3-3. Oh yeah, because you said the Patriots. Yeah, 3-3. 3-3 gets them at 11 wins.
Yep.
I think that's enough to win the division.
But look at our schedule. I think we're going to get to 11 wins.
11 wins? You think so?
No, look at our schedule.
I mean, I think I have it memorized, but I'm going to pull it up just in case.
The only teams that scare me on our schedule right now are the Bills and the Dolphins. Those are the only 2 teams that I look at. I'm like, they make me nervous. We got the Lions. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Both at home. Oh, the Seahawks game in Seattle. We play horrible in Seattle.
We did, but we ain't the same Jets, bro.
That's true, but
and
whenever we
saw
travel
them take
to
an L against Oakland. Oakland just beat them, bro. Look,
let me tell you something. You know what another issue with this game is? It's on January 1st. We got a young team. You think our kids aren't going to go out and party on New Year's?
No, man. I believe in our coaching staff. I believe that they are going to talk to these young kids and they're going to know, like, look, New Year's is
the same kids that were just playing with their food against the Bears.
Yeah, touche. Touche.
I don't know. That Seahawks game has me worried. That Bills game, obviously. The Dolphins game, I guess. And then the Vikings, I think we should have a chance. But I'm not going to say we're guaranteed to win that Vikings game either because
I think we're going 4-2. I think we're going 4-2 this.
Well, I guess. All right. Well, I guess this is the perfect segue. So let's close this out. Let's get into this Vikings game.
Okay, bet.
So we have the Vikings. They are they're 9-2 at this point, correct?
They're 9-2, correct.
And for some reason, I just don't take them that seriously as a 9-2 team. You know who they remind me of? You remember that Steelers team that started like 8-0 a couple years ago?
Yeah.
They like barely made the playoffs. Or did they even? Or they might have even missed it. I don't remember.
They made the playoffs.
They made it.
They were like they made it hard.
But they barely made it after starting 8-0. I feel like that's what I'm getting. Like, it's hard to believe that a team can be 9-2 but have one of the worst defenses in the league. It doesn't add up. And then the fact, and it's not like they have the best offense in the league because if it's like the Chiefs, if it's like Patrick Mahomes in the worst defense, then it makes sense.
Yeah,
they don't necessarily have the best offense in the league either. So I'm not really sure.
They're number 9, number 10. It's got to be their schedule, right? Every time I see that, I'm like, man, who have they beaten? Could you look at that real quick?
Yeah, so they beat the Packers week 1, 23-7. We now know that's not that impressive because the Packers are not that good.
Packers aren't the same. Nope.
Then they lost to the Eagles, understandable.
Makes sense.
Then they beat the Lions by 4.
Okay.
They beat the Saints by 3.
Again,
they beat the Bears by 7.
Bum team.
They beat the Dolphins by 8, and that's with Skylar Thompson.
Okay, there it is. I was about to say,
They beat the They beat the Cardinals by 8. Again, they're not that great.
Kyler Murray wasn't playing either that game. That's when he was hurt, right?
Was it? Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah, and Kyler Murray just got back after a 4-week hiatus.
They beat the Commanders. I think that was before Tyler Heineke.
Yep, before him. So again, not impressive.
They beat him by 3. They beat the Bills by 3 with that miracle Justin Jefferson
catch. Yep.
They got mollywopped by the Cowboys 40-3.
Yeah, that was a beatdown, bro.
And then they beat the Patriots on Thanksgiving by 7.
Yeah, but that was barely. And the Patriots offense looked like they were freaking, the
Mike Jones threw for 320
and 3-something, bro. Had the career game against them. So, bro, the Vikings are not scary. Look at who have they beaten anybody except for they beat the Bills. You said they beat the Bills, right?
They beat the Bills on that 4th down play. That's the only impressive win.
So the only team they've beaten over 500 was the Bills
and the Dolphins
at the time. Yeah, they were. They were never. So yeah, but that was also with freaking Skylar Thompson. So
I don't want to play that game because I try to take credit for the Jets beating them anyway, even though it was Skylar Thompson.
Yeah, but bro, you know what? Whenever somebody talks crap about the Jets beating anybody, I'm like, we have the worst quarterback in the league when it happened.
You know what?
Zach Wilson is 35th ranked quarterback. Yes.
before we get into the Vikings, thank you, because
Yeah.
I didn't want to forget to do this. Everybody that says that we are only beating backup quarterbacks needs to take into account that our team is 7-4 with playing with backup quarterbacks. Like, it's not like we have a franchise quarterback right now. Zach Wilson, like you said, there's 32 starters, and he's ranked like 34th, 35th.
The 35th, bro. 35th best starter in the league.
He's ranked 35th, and we're still 7-4. And then now we're winning with Mike White. Again, another backup quarterback.
QB3.
So yes, we beat a couple backup quarterbacks, but we're also starting backup quarterbacks. These teams can't beat our backup quarterbacks. So stop taking credit away from the Jets when we're beating you with our backups.
Yep, that's exactly what I've realized. And I was sitting there like, man, everyone got jokes about that, but Zach Wilson's the 35th ranked quarterback. There's 32 teams in the NFL. That should tell you something. There's backups playing better than Zach Wilson. And then I went back and I was like, damn, wow, we're beating you with no quarterback. How does that make you feel? Like, okay, great. We've only beaten backups. Well, we did it without a quarterback. Literally.
Yeah, exactly. We're a good team, like an overall team. When you can hide having a bad quarterback, you better be scared if we find a good quarterback.
If you can do that, bro, you're a great team because we've done it.
If Mike White ends up being
average
to above average, or if he doesn't and we end up finding a good quarterback to come be, I'm sorry, you better be scared of the Jets.
Watch out.
That's just his
100%.
All right, so what are you thinking as far as this game?
I'm glad that we just went over that because that kind of made me feel even better about feeling good about this team, about this game. So again, they've beaten two teams, right? Miami Dolphins without Tua, and they've beaten the Buffalo Bills because of a miracle catch, the catch of the decade by Justin Jefferson. Gave them a shot at that game. And then the ridiculous fumble by so many things had to go right for them to get that win.
Well, that's right. The point inside the end zone.
Yeah, bro. Like Josh Allen fumbles in the end zone, gives them a free touchdown. So with that said, man, like I was already talking about beating them by a score. I do believe Dalvin Cook's the truth. I do believe Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver in this league. I do believe that what the Dallas Cowboys did to them is is very possible what the Jets can do to them. But we're a younger team. And with that being said, I had the Jets beating these guys 27-14. I'm sorry, 27-21. 27-21, New York Jets get the win against the Minnesota Vikings.
You know, I don't think people are scared of Sauce Gardner yet. They keep
trying them. Yeah.
But I think they're gonna try. They tried it with Diggs. It worked the first play, and then Sauce wasn't on him the rest of the game.
Sauce had him 4 more times, and then he kept switching to the opposite side.
DJ Reed was the one that held him in check the rest of that game.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if do you think they're gonna do that again with Justin Jefferson? Like if he gets the best
I
of
can
Sauce,
see that because I think you're gonna see them attack Sauce early, just like the Bills did. I think Sauce is probably better prepared for it now than he was before playing freaking. At that point in time, I think Stephon Diggs is a top 3 receiver in the league, right? People think I'm crazy. They'll say it's freaking Chase or Tyreek Hill. But I think he's like top 2, top 3. And I think him getting the best of Sauce Gardner on that first play was an eye-opener for Sauce. The fact of the matter is Sauce still able to recover, prevent that thing from going to the house. He learned from that. And I think you're going to see him implement that this week, knowing damn well that he's playing yet another person who's in that top conversation in Justin Jefferson. But even if they push him on the other side against freaking DJ Reed, I'm oddly not shook. DJ Reed has been playing lights out football as well. We've got 2 Pro Bowl defensive guys.
He doesn't get enough attention. And Michael Carter doesn't get enough attention either. Michael Carter is another baller.
Yeah, we've got probably the top trio of cornerbacks in the league.
I'm really surprised at how physical they allow Sauce Gardner to get.
Because like he's already a proven vet.
Right, like they're giving him the calls, like they're giving him the benefit of the doubt. And when I hear other fan bases complain about, possible pass interferences, I don't even argue it because I'm like, you know what? If I was on the opposing team, I'd probably be like, yo, what the fuck also? But they're letting them play. The receivers can get just as handsy with Sauce also.
Yep.
So it's not like it's just going one way.
No.
I just think it's weird that they're allowing
that he's getting that kind of respect.
Yeah, like that they're allowing 100%. That to happen, especially for rookies. 100%. This game, I think my main concern is Dalvin Cook, not so much Justin Jefferson. I think Dalvin Cook is my worry out of the backfield, not so much even running the ball, but I think catching the ball out of the backfield. I think our linebackers, Quan Alexander's a monster. Quincy Williams is a monster. I feel like they run down running backs and meet them in the hole like no other linebacker I remember us ever having.
Right.
But I don't know if they can keep up with Dalvin Cook out of the backfield. That's my one worry is Dalvin Cook. Yeah. Even with that said, though, I'm with you. I think that our defense can stifle that offense. I think that Mike White is gonna have another field day with another. This pass defense is worse than the Bears' pass defense.
Facts by a lot.
So
by a lot.
I think it's. I don't think it's even hyperbolic for me to say that we could put up 30 points on these guys. It's gonna be in a dome. I was looking up at tickets to see if I could fly out to watch the game, but I can't find any flights that fly back on Sunday night. But I think that the Jets take this game 30-17.
Damn,
I think that we could put up 30. I think they could put up 17, but I think Mike White's going to have the ball. If Mike White doesn't get injured against the Colts last year, I think he plays that whole game. He has another great game, and maybe they would have let him play through the whole Bills thing because he would have had 2 games where he balled out.
2 back-to-back games where he balled out. Yeah, no, you're right.
So that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting a win.
I kind of think Mike White is like excited to play the Buffalo Bills too. I think as a competitor, like a part of him knows he's been judged by that game last year by everybody. Sure. Everybody like, oh, he can't do it in this league. And I'm not saying he's the kind of guy that's gonna go out there and allow it to kind of like consume him, but I do believe he's the kind of person that's gonna watch that tape again and again and again to make sure the mistakes he made in that game aren't repeated in that against Buffalo. Now, I'm not saying he's not going to turn the ball over because Buffalo has a good defense. I mean, granted, their secondary, their passing defense has dropped to 21, I think it is, or 18, one of the two, 18 or 21. I got to go back and take a look at it, but they're not like as elite as they were starting off the year. So I think there's some holes there. But I do believe Mike White's going to look at a lot of tape. He's probably watching tape right now on Buffalo. Just like that game in particular, he's chilling, cracking the beer back.
Don't do the overlooking the Vikings. Don't do that.
I don't think he's overlooking them. I'm just saying, like on his personal time, while he's sitting back, he's probably watching that Buffalo Bills game, thinking to myself, "Why the hell did I do that? Why did I do this?" And I don't know. I think it's going to be a shootout, man.
How many wins it's for us to get to the playoffs?
We need 10. We need 10 wins to secure that wild card spot.
3 more. We still have the Lions and the Jaguars on the schedule. So if we can get this Vikings game, we feel pretty good about maybe making at least the wild card.
Yes, 100%.
All right, last question before we wrap this up. Does Mike White play out the rest of the year?
I do believe he does. I believe Mike White's going to be the quarterback for the remainder of the 2022 season.
I do also.
Into the playoffs.
Barring injury.
Barring any injury. Correct. Barring any injury.
I agree. I think Mike White plays the rest of this season, and I think he's gonna play really well. I'm really fucking praying for a Nick Foles type story, and this thing has to end in a Super Bowl victory. But if you get us to like the second round,
AFC Championship game, the second round of the playoffs, win one playoff game, win one playoff game.
Yeah, exactly. Win one playoff game, perform well in the second round, and it's like, you know what?
Give that man a contract.
The job is yours for next year. Yep. Let's keep stacking up this because we have a great roster, a lot of rookie contracts still. Let's keep adding to this. Okay. One more question.
Okay.
Let's say Mike White plays out this year. This is a crazy hypothetical, but fuck it. Okay. I'm gonna ask. And we feel like he's the guy for the next year.
Okay.
Do we trade away Zach Wilson or we keep him on the roster next year?
No.
You keep him on the roster?
You keep him around. Because again, Zach Wilson's arm talent, I really believe top 5 in the league in terms of arm talent. I really believe that. Like when he's figured it out and he can consistently make the throws we've seen this kid make like routinely, we're talking about him, Mahomes, Allen, like in that kind of conversation. This is year 2. He'd be going into year 3. We have complete control for 3 more years. I say we keep him on there. Well, 2 more years, and we can use the 5th-year option if we wanted to. But bro, I think you keep him as, because I do believe this. I do believe that Zach Wilson, this whole situation is going to humble him. I do believe if he sees Mike White continue to play at this level, I do believe he's got the competitive arrogance to him that's going to want to drive him to be better, and he's going to find ways to be better. And the moment he gets a chance to play again, I think you see a much improved Zach Wilson. I don't know how much more better that he'll be, but I do believe he'll be improved.
The issues are his fundamentals, though.
That's it. And it's all coachable stuff. Like, that's the thing about Zach. His issues are all coachable if he's willing to be coached. Like, and he can stay out of his own head.
There you go. That's the issue.
He also, in a clean pocket, was one of the best quarterbacks in those rare situations in the NFL. Now, granted, it's the NFL. You're never going to have a clean pocket for a full game. You can't depend on that to go ahead and be great. But
he doesn't step up into that clean pocket.
He doesn't step up. That's what I'm saying. I don't think you trade him, man. I think Zach Wilson is too valuable in terms of what he can be. Even though right now we're seeing his floor, which we all knew was going to be a low floor. His ceiling, man, is just so. It's too compelling. Too compelling.
That's what everybody hangs on to, his ceiling.
That's it. That's the only reason you keep him, because you've seen him make throws that you're like, damn, him and 3 other guys in the NFL can make that throw. Then he's made throws he shouldn't make, and you're like, damn, him and only him can miss that throw. Like, it's the weirdest thing to kind of see. Yeah. But I think you let the kid. I mean, again, he's 22 years old. He's played 20 games in the NFL. I'd have a hard time believing we just trade away a kid with that kind of, because what would hurt the most is let's say we trade him to San Francisco next year, right? San Francisco decides, like, we'll take him. Here's a second and a third or whatever, and they fix him. They fix the issues. I think we would regret that for the next 10 to 15 years.
Not if Mike White's playing well.
If Zach Wilson goes to San Francisco and they can fix these coachable aspects that are plaguing him, and the mental game slows down a little bit, or maybe they have a genius like McDaniel that can go ahead and just simplify the game of, this is where you're going to throw the ball, this is where you're going to throw, and just break it down each play. I think McDaniel does that pretty well, and kind of help Tua develop.
Right,
bro. I'm telling you, Zach Wilson's ceiling is top 3, top 5 in the league. Well, yeah, you're right. I think Mike White could be really good. He could be a top 15 guy, doing just enough for us to go ahead and make it to the playoffs, etc. But we face freaking the 49ers in the Super Bowl, and we lose to them, and Zach Wilson's at the helm. I don't care what you say, bro. We're all going to be livid.
Well, let me make this very clear. I haven't given up on Zach. I still believe in Zach.
Yeah.
But you know what? If Mike White's working, let's keep riding that and give him a chance. I don't want it. The first sign of problems, all of a sudden we yank him for Zach. No. Zach had 7 games. Give Mike at least 5 or 6. So that's where I'm at. Gunny, thank you for joining me, filling in for the Beard Fanatic. He'll be back next week. So before I sign off, everybody heard, it's documented. Gunny said Mike White's winning the Super Bowl this year. So, so we'll come back and clip that out at the end of the season.
Hey, you heard it here first. Here first.
Thank you guys for listening, and I'll catch you guys next week after the Vikings.
Go Jets.
Yes, sir.